السيتي راح يسجل، لازم يسجل بالعافية، راح يسجل بالغصب يسجل. السيتي يحرق الملعب، يحرق المدافع، يحرق الدوري، يحرقون كل شيء.
كرة خطيرة جدا، والكرة الثانية الهدف الأول، الهدف الأول تاريخي. 12-13 الثاني، ثبتوا معايا.
سيتي لا يخسر، نعم سيتي لا يخسر اللقب ولن يخسر اللقب.
Encouraging fitness news on David Silva. Are you going to have him in your squad this weekend?
No, David will not. He's not in the squad list for this weekend because he still feels some pain in his ankle, so he's not available.
Is there a chance he might be available for Europe in the week, or is that?
Well, we'll see. We need to see every day how he improves, but we have till Tuesday. We have 3 more days, and we'll decide at the end.
What about Sergio? Any improvements there at all?
Well, Sergio is continuing with his treatment. Sergio is different because he has a muscle injury, so he needs to have the amount of day that he needs to be fit.
And Pablo Zabaleta, what's the latest on Pablo, please?
Paulo has the same injury in his medial ligament, not so hard as the first one that he had. So, as we have now the international break, probably in those days he will be fit to return after that international break.
So not as serious as the first injury that he had, and he will be back quicker.
Who?
Zabaleta will be back quicker because it's not as serious.
Yes. No, because we have now 10 days and 15 days more, 25 days, he will be ready, yes.
How pleased are you with the momentum that your side is building after the international break and the performance, obviously, in the week?
Well, I think the performance was very good the midweek. Now we must try to repeat tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's important also. I never complained about the amount of players that are injured, but we have too many players. So continue playing this way and winning is very important for the trust that the squad have. And I hope that during the international break we will have all the players. Yes, all the players, because Fabian and Delph and Clichy may be fit next week. Sabinarri, David and Kun and Paulo, I hope that in those days they will be 100%.
How pleased are you that your younger players, though, are coming in and playing so well, so those injuries aren't hurting you quite as much?
Well, it's very important because I always say that we have a squad, we don't have a team. It's impossible with just a team to try to win silverware. You need a strong squad because I am not talking just about Manchester City. You see Arsenal and all the other teams has a lot of players injured. So it's important when they have the chance to demonstrate why they are here. That's why when we started preparing this season, I always say that we need 2 players for each position because you normally will need them during the whole season.
Kelechi has impressed a lot of people. Is he ahead of where you thought he might be at this stage of the season? Has he impressed you?
No, he didn't impress me because I work with him every day, so I know what he can give to our team. Last season, I think that he was ready to do it. We talk about his work permits, but unfortunately for him, he had a very serious injury in his ankles. That's why he couldn't play last season. But now he's ready, and I'm very happy for him to demonstrate what he can do. But it's just one game. He must repeat. He must continue trying to improve in every game that he plays.
How much has he benefited from Bonnie being here? Because he talked about it in the programme in midweek, that Bonnie has been a big influence on his perhaps settling in here.
Well, I think Bonnie is very important, not only for Kelechi, it's very important for the team because he's a striker that prepares very well the play, that he supports the balls. So in the way that Kelechi play or Kun play, those seconds that he gives of post are very important for the other striker to arrive to the right position to try to score. More if they have a good relation between them, very important also for Kelechi to be support for, not for Bonnie, for the whole team.
And often when you've played Caballero in midweek, you've played him for 2 games, 1 game, then the next game. How likely is it that he continues in goal?
In what, sorry?
When you've chosen Caballero to be your goalkeeper,
Yes.
he's often played 1 game, then another game. Is that likely to happen this weekend?
Tomorrow we'll see the start 11.
How difficult is this game, bearing in mind you're huge favourites to beat a Norwich side, I think?
Very difficult, because I think that all the games in Premier League are difficult. It doesn't matter in which position are the teams. You know that you must play with 100% of intensity, with a lot of concentration, or 2 or 3 balls decide the result. So it's important to repeat what we did on Wednesday. We'll see which team will start tomorrow, but the attitude must be the same one.
Is that the key challenge from your point of view, though, that when you've destroyed Norwich last season, scoring 7 goals, that you have to keep the players motivated to do the job professionally?
No, I think that we cannot think about what we did last season or 2 seasons ago. It's not last season. 2 seasons ago with Norwich, I think it's absolutely different. It's another team, another names, another moment. So I think that what we must do is to try to start playing every game. It doesn't matter against whom or where we play, in the way we normally do it when we are a good team.
You've had relatively comfortable victories against Norwich in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Is there a temptation to select a team tomorrow, excuse me, that has Sevilla next week in mind? So could you think, well, Norwich are a slightly easier opposition, so we can leave 1 or 2 out?
Well, I think that will be a great mistake. We are not thinking about Sevilla. We are thinking just about Norwich. We need to win these 3 points here at home. We cannot, if you want to continue at the lead of the table, we cannot drop points here at home. After that, when we finish, we will see from Tuesday which are the better players to start against Sevilla, but we are not thinking about Tuesday.
So far in the Premier League, Kelechi Iheanacho hasn't started. Could he get a start possibly? Is he ready to start in the Premier League?
Well, in the way he demonstrates what he can do, of course he also will have an option to start. We'll see. It's not an easy position to start in this team, because we have a lot of important players, as Kun, as David, and in this moment they are not fit. But for me, it just depends on the performance of the player who starts.
And you trained, of course, in the stadium today, and I know you've done it a couple of times recently, but by and large, you've been training back at the CFA. Is there a reason why you've come back into the stadium again now, ahead of home games?
We normally work here the day before the game when we play here at home. When we play away, we work at the CFA. But I think it's good for the players to be used to prepare set pieces and all different things here at the stadium where we play.
But you haven't done it in every home game, have you, in the last few weeks? Is that something you've returned to?
We have done it for a lot of things, because we played too many games, because here was the rugby also, just to care about a little bit more about the pitch, but we normally do.
Manuel, could I just ask you about the managerial situation at the minute? With Jose Mourinho's on the second charge this week. Do you sympathise with the pressures on the managers these days? Because Jose's had a bit of problems with the disciplinary issues, and in the past you've spoken at referees. Is it getting harder for managers to keep their emotions in check?
Well, it's very difficult to talk about the general thing what can happen about managers. I think that all the managers have in some moment of the year of their career a bad moment. I think that it's normally. So I hope, because I think that Jose is a very important manager, he will arrange his team, because I think that he already demonstrated what he can do, and he's the champion of the Premier League in this year. So I repeat, it's very difficult to say one thing for all the managers.
Obviously, he's a close rival of yours over the past. Would you have expected him to be closer to you this season than he is at the minute with Chelsea?
I repeat what?
Would you have expected Chelsea to be closer to you this season than they are?
Of course, I always say when mathematics say when you can do it and when you cannot do it. I think that we have enough points to play, that because I am sure that they will be involved in the title or in the first position of the table. So continue being a very strong team, maybe not in their best moment, but I am sure that they will improve.
And well, why do you think teams have found it so difficult to defend the trophy, defend the Premier League trophy recently?
It's difficult, maybe for some relax that maybe nobody wants to have it, but they normally happen. So it's so difficult. To repeat is also difficult because all the other teams that couldn't win the title the other season are strong in this season because they don't want to be twice without the silverware. There's a lot of reasons why it's difficult, but for me the most important thing is because you have 5 very strong teams here in England and all of them can win the title.
Well, just going back to managers and pressure, there was a column this week suggesting that managers should be allowed to take a break, a sabbatical during the season. Is that something that you would agree with?
No, I don't think that you need sabbatical. Everyone knows when he wants to work and when he doesn't want to work, or when he wants to stop for 1 year. I don't think that is a reason and not a solution about what is happening to one manager in this moment.
And well, whenever one of your major players is out, Aguero, Silva company, a lot is made that you're not the same team. Well, results would suggest otherwise this season, that you're actually not missing any particular player anymore. That must give you a great satisfaction. You've got such a strong squad.
Very satisfied because the last season happens the same thing, and without Kuhn and without Edin Dzeko and without Stefan Jovic, without striker. We closed the gap against Chelsea. We recovered 8 points. In January, we were at the top of the table. It's not the first time that happens the same thing here. And with different names, I think that the team continue playing the same way. Of course, there are players that are not easy to replace them, but I think that in the way this team play, at least it's not so difficult.
Manuel. Sergio Aguero is not in the Argentina squad for the next international games. Is that a decision that you had some say in?
No, it's not a decision. It's a reality what happened with Sergio. Sergio is not able to play in the next international because he will not be fit. He will not play till at least without doubt maybe when we finish the international break. So he cannot play if he has an important muscle injury.
Belgium called up Vincent Kompany even though he was injured. Did Argentina ask you if Sergio would be?
Well, I said when that thing happened with Vincent, I said there are different ways to have the relationship between clubs and national squad. I think it's not exactly the same because Vincent was almost fit when he finished. When he played against. For their national squad, Kuhn, I don't think that he will be ready to do it. It's different. Maybe if Kuhn played the last game here, Aston Villa, he could do it for the national squad. But it's not the same. But I repeat, it's better to have good communication as we had with the manager of Argentina in this case.
You're hoping he's back after the international break.
Sorry.
You're hoping Sergio's back after the international break.
I hope that Sergio will be at the end of the international break. I hope that he can start with Liverpool, but I'm not so sure.
Well, you've had clashes before with Alan Pardew, the Crystal Palace manager. What's your relationship with him like now?
With Alan Pardew? Yeah. No, not any problem. I think that both were things for the one moment during the heat of the game, so I don't have any problem with him, and he came to my office after the game, and not any problem with him.
That's very good of you because he's quite rude to you, wasn't he, Alan Pardew? What Alan Pardew actually said to you was quite rude, so it's quite gracious of you to...
No, it doesn't matter. Repeat this.
Going back to Sergio, would you encourage him to listen more to his own body in the future? Because you said to us after a game here that it was difficult for him not to play for Argentina because he wanted to, but he kind of almost shouldn't have done because of the hamstring strain he had. So do you think he will listen to you more in the future?
Well, I hope that he will do it, but I repeat, with Sergio, it's not a problem for him to have the decision that he thinks or we think that is better for him. So I hope that the future we are not having to decide because he will not be any more injured.
The type of player he is it inevitable he would get these kind of muscle injuries?
Sorry?
The type of player he is it inevitable he will suffer these type of injuries, these muscle injuries, which to do with explosive players?
Well, it's so difficult to talk about those kinds of injuries. What we can do, or what will happen with that in the future. But Sergio, I think that is making different things, so to try not to repeat it.
Just on Kelechi, Manuel, is it almost impossible to leave someone out when they've scored one and made two and look so impressive? Has he given you a real problem there? A nice problem.
No, I always say that for me is not a problem. For me, the problem is when you don't have players. If you have young players as Kelechi that made an impact in the way he played the other day, it's a challenge for him to repeat. It's a challenge for him to fight for a place in the starting 11. So for me, I'm very happy. Not a problem.